Okay. Uh, Good morning, everyone. Guys, in the last session, like what did we discussed? We discussed about primary key. There is a typo. There is a spelling mistake. Okay. Anyway, we discussed about primary key. We discussed about what is MANDT field in the table. So why we use MANDT field in the table as a primary key. So that is for to define client dependent data or client independent data. If you use domain in the table, that is a client dependent table. You so other clients cannot see data which is created in the current client. Okay. Next, data element. So what is a data element? Data element is semantic properties of the field. What are the semantic properties? Field description, field labels, etc. Right? Field descriptions, field labels, these are all called semantic properties, right? And domain. What is a domain? Domain is a technical attribute or technical properties of the table field. Domain is used for technical properties. What are the technical properties? Data type, length, is it a case sensitive or not? These are all technical properties of the field, right?
Yes,
What is the
sir.
advantage of using domains and data elements?
We achieve the reusability
Reusability and to
of the
maintain
table.
consistent data in the tables, right? For reusability and to maintain consistent data, you can reuse the data types and its properties, right? And you can maintain the table with consistent data. Like if you take one field employee ID, you can maintain same length and with same data type in all the tables, right? Otherwise, if you don't reuse any existing data type, what will happen? One developer might create it with a different data type, and other developer might create it with the different data types and different lengths. So there is no consistency, right? So if you use domains and data elements, you can achieve that consistency, and as well as you can reuse the existing data types like data elements and domains. If you don't use data elements and domains, right, what will happen? By default, it will convert everything into uppercase. But if you use a domain, this case sensitive option, you can define in which case you want to save the data. Is it in uppercase or is it in lowercase, right? You can also define value tables. Value tables are for possible values. What are the possible values for that field, right? For example, if you take employee ID, so what are the possible values we can enter for the employee ID? Whoever the employees working in that company, right? They are the only possible values. Employee ID of other companies, it should not allow, right? How can you define those possible values? By using value table option in domains. Okay. If you just use predefined types, do we have all these options when you are creating the table? If you simply use some predefined type, you don't have all these options. You can just provide some data type and length and the description, and you can use it. Okay.
Yes.
But when you use domains and data elements, you have all these advantages. You can define the additional attributes or properties of the field. So what is the transaction code for data dictionary? S11. So go to the table, ZDemo employee. Here we have created the table using predefined types. Here we don't have any option to define is it case sensitive or not, right? We don't have any option to reuse the data type in other tables. If you are creating another table and that table also contains employee ID field, then can you reuse this data type whatever you entered here? Can you reuse the description? No. When you are creating other table with the same field, you need to enter all these details again. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You need to provide the description. Here I might provide employee ID. In other table, the other developer might provide description as employee number. right? When you are using predefined types, there is no reusability, there is no consistency, right? So if you use data elements and domains, we can reuse. Let's see how to create data elements and domains. Is everyone clear why we are using data elements and domains?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Now we'll see how to create and how to use it in the table. Let me create one more table. Think this is the maximum length allowed for a table. Okay, right? This is the maximum name length allowed for the table. Create the table. Employee master table. What is delivery class? What is the type of the table we are creating? Is it application table or customizing table, right? What
Yes,
is the
sir.
option we need to select? A. Delivery maintenance allowed to maintain the data. Go to fields and provide the field name. First field should be primary key. Now, are we using predefined built-in types or data elements? We need to use data elements. That's why select data element. By default, you can see data elements only, right? If you want to go for built-in type, select built-in type. You can enter the relevant data type, length and description. But here we don't have reusability and consistency when you are using built-in types. Now go to data element. Now, do you know what is the data element of employee ID? Please observe carefully. Here we have two different things. Creating a new data element and domain, and using existing data elements and domains. There are a lot of standard data elements and domains provided by SAP. If you go to any standard table, SC11, KNA1 is one of the standard table provided by SAP. This is the field, and what is this? This is data element of this field. Data element of this field, right? So is it a custom data element or standard data element? It is a standard data element provided by SAP. If your field is same as customer number, if you are using customer number field in the table, do you need to create the data element again, a new data element for the customer number? For example, instead of employee ID, take this KUNNR. KUNNR means customer ID. You are creating a table, custom table, which contains customer number as field. Do you need to create new data element and domain? No, you don't need to create, because
No.
it is already there. It is already there and created by SAP. You can just use this existing data element and domain. Now, data type, length and description is assigned to this field. Okay.
Automatically, yes, sir.
I'm reusing the existing data element without creating a new data element. I am reusing it, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, land one means country key, country ID. For country ID also we have a standard data element. For postal code, this is for postal code. For postal code we have a standard data element. Name, for name we have a standard data element. Name1 underscore GP, character 35. This is for name. If you observe this, city, ORT01 is for city. This is the data element for city, right? We have default data element, standard data element available for those fields also, right? So before going to create any custom data element, what you need to check? Is there any existing data element available for this? If no existing standard data element or custom data element available, then you need to create a new data element and domain.
Data
You don't
element.
create every time. Whenever you create a table, you are not going to create data elements and domains. First check for existing ones. There might be standard data elements available, or there might be custom data elements, some other already created, right? You can reuse those custom data elements also. Not only standard data elements, you can reuse standard data elements as well as custom data elements. Before going to create a new data element, what you need to check? Is there any existing
Existing
standard
data.
data
Data.
elements or custom data elements available, right? Some other developer might have already created a data element for employee ID. That might be already available. That custom data element might be already available. So without creating a new one, you can just reuse the existing custom data element also, right? So how you know there is the existing data element or not. For example, take employee ID. I want to find, is there any data element already available for employee ID? Go to data dictionary. Select data type. This is for data elements, right? In SE11, select data type to create the new data element. So to search, what we need to do? Select like this. If you want to search for data element, custom data element, what is the starting letter of custom data element? Z, right? Any custom
Yes.
object, Z. Z star, and press F4 or press this. Press F4 in your keyboard. Now it will show all the custom data elements starting with the Z. It is taking time. Server is slow, it seems. In the meantime, let me show you in ECC. Is it working? No, it's not working. So how to find existing data elements? Star F4, and it will display the screen and search for data elements. So what are these? These are all the existing custom
Data
data
elements.
element. You can find, is there any suitable data element for you? You are creating employee ID, right? Here you can see this name, right? This might be suitable for you, correct? For
Yes,
your employee
sir.
ID, employee name,
Yes,
there is
sir.
one data element. Can we really identify by name? If the name is employee ID, is it really related to employee ID field? No, right? Someone, whoever creating it, might be assigned some incorrect name also, right? Display. So employee ID, employee description. So name is just for naming convention. That's it. Just to identify what type of the object or what type of field it is, right? That doesn't really means if you are using name employee ID, that doesn't mean that you can use it for employee ID. You need to check what is the data type and length they are using, okay, and what is the description. So if you are able to find the standard existing data element, you can use, okay, or Z star emp star. Now what it will do? See, any object in SAP, you can search like this using stars. That might be programs, tables, data elements, domains. So what is the meaning of this? The name should starts with Z. The name of the data element should starts with Z, and in the name of the data element, somewhere there should be this word EMP,
EMP.
right? But that data element name should starts with Z, right?
Z.
Because I am using Z star. That means the name starting with Z, and I'm enclosing this EMP with 2 stars. What does that means? In the name of the data element, is there any word EMP somewhere? That may not be starting or ending, okay? Anywhere in the data element. Anywhere in the data element, is there a word EMP? I'm searching that. F4. Search for data elements. So it will display only the data elements which starts with Z, and that contains
EMP.
EMP. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Like that, you can search for existing data elements, standard data elements, or standard or custom data elements. You can search like that. Okay. Go back to our table. Now, how can you search from the table itself? This is external window. We have used SC11 and go to data types and search. How can you search it in the table itself? Go to data element, same, enter Z star emp
EMP
star
star.
F4. Same here. Here it will display all the existing data elements. For example, if you select this ZEMP underscore ID number 5, it is numerical data type, length 5, description. Here it is into one. Different persons created different data types for the same employee ID field. Okay, but in your projects, if you take one field, the data element of that field should be consistent with the same data type and length. Okay, and you can choose your data element. Now your data element is assigned, right?
Yes,
Like
sir.
that, you can search for existing things. Let's assume we don't have a data element for employee ID. We don't have a data element for employee ID in the current system. What we need to do? We need to create a
We have to create new data element.
new data element. And data element is for semantic property like short description. But which one defines the length and data type? Yeah, domain will describe the data type and length of the field. We need to create data element and domain. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we have two approaches: top down, bottom up. First you can create data element and then you can assign a domain. That is one approach, right? That is one approach. First create data element, next create domain. That is one approach. What is the other approach? First create domain, next create data
Data.
element. Top down approach, bottom up approach. We have two approaches. Now first we'll create bottom up approach. First we create the domain and we assign the domain to the data element. How to do that? Go to S11, go to S11, select domain, provide name of the domain, z demo some 10 underscore emp id. Can we use same name for domain and data element? Can we use same name for domains and data elements? Yes, we can
Yes.
use. Domain and data element name can be same, right?
Okay.
Create. Click on create. Provide the description. This is not field description. Whatever the description you are providing here, that is not for field description. It is a domain description. Okay. Employee ID. And what is the next option? Data type. What is the data type for employee ID you want to take? I will take character
Character.
10. Is there any decimal places required? No decimal places required for employee ID. Right? What is the output length? What is the output length? 10. Because there is no conversion. If you take date, what is the input length and what is the output length? If you take date, for date, input length is 8, output length is 10. Let's take DATM, right? No, not DATM, date side. Here, check here. DATS. What is the input length for date? 8. Output length is 10.
10.
You don't need to do anything. It will automatically populate that input length and output length. Okay. Let's take time. Time data type. This one. TIMS. What is the input length? 6.
6.
Output
6.
length? 8. Right? Similarly, if you take decimals for packed decimal, what is the data type? Decimal.
DEC.
DEC. Let's take 10. Here you need to mention decimal places. How many decimal places you want to use. Okay. Clear? Output length is 13 because this data includes decimal places. 10.50 or something, right? Including decimal places, it is 13. Total length is 13, right? For employee ID, what is the data type we need? Character. No decimal places for character. We need to remove decimal places. Output length is 10 because we are not converting. Now tell me, do you want to create this employee ID all uppercase or do you want to create in lowercase also? Do you want to create employee ID values in uppercase letters or lowercase letters?
Uppercase.
Usually employee IDs will be all uppercase, right? That's why I'm not selecting case sensitive option. If you select case sensitive option, what will happen? It will save as it is. If you enter in lowercase, it will save in lowercase. If you enter in uppercase, it will save in uppercase.
Uppercase.
If you enter data like this, how it will save? As it is.
Like that. Like
As
that
it
one.
is. Right? Mixed case, camel case, right? So why we use case sensitive option? Is it to convert into lowercase? No.
No.
Or is it to convert into uppercase? No. So when you select a case sensitive option, it will create the data as it is, how it is entered by the user. If the user entered in lowercase, it will save in lowercase. If user entered in the uppercase, it will save in uppercase. If you don't select this, by default, it will convert everything into uppercase. Check the other option in domain. Single values, intervals, and value table. Single values, intervals, and value table. Why we use this? Why we use this single values, intervals, or value tables? It is to define possible values. It is to define possible values. What it is for? In domain we have, what are the options we have available in domain? Single value. What is the use of single value? You can fix values what are allowed for this domain. what are allowed for this domain. For example, in which scenario we use, for example, this field is for gender, this field is for gender of the human. What are the available genders? M, F, other, right? 3. So you can fix only these 3 values for this domain. So user can enter only, what is the values that user can only enter? Male, female, or other.
Female, other.
You are fixing the values, fixing the possible values for this domain, like, right? If it is fixed values, you can provide like this. For example, gender, weeks also fixed, right? Always 7, Monday to Sunday, always 7, right?
Yes, sir.
Months also fixed, right?
Yes, sir.
Always from Jan to December, right? They are called defined values. They are not infinite values, right? Defined values. We know every time they are same, right? So for such kind of values, we use single values.
Single values.
Delete it. Right? When we use single values for defined values, if we can define, right? If they are always same, then we use single values in the domain to maintain possible values. Then when we go for intervals, these are very important, please observe. Right? So when we use intervals, when you want to provide ranges, for example, you are providing some range here, 1 to 100. What are the possible values now? So user can enter only values between 1 to
1 to 100.
100.
1 to 100.
You can provide multiple ranges also, like this, 200 to 300, 400 to 500. So user can enter only values between these ranges. First range is 1 to 100. Can we enter 101? Can we enter 101? Observe these ranges. Can we enter 101 for this field? Or like if you are using this domain to a employee ID field, can you enter 101?
No, sir.
No, we cannot enter 101 because the possible range
Range
is 1 to 100.
100
Next possible range is 200 to 300.
to
You
3000.
cannot enter between 100 to 200 because that is not a defined range. Right?
Yes.
Can you enter 301? No.
No, sir.
390? No. You can enter 400 to 500. Right? You can provide multiple ranges also. When we use these intervals, if you want to define a specific range for the values so that users can enter only between that range, right? To restrict the user to select only specific values, we can use the single values or intervals, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm deleting this for now. The other option available is value table. It is very important. Value table. What is value table? Here we provide a table name. Here we provide a table name which contains records. Those, what are those records? Those records are nothing but possible values. Instead of maintaining here manually, what we do? We create a table and we maintain all the possible values in the table, and we configure that table here, so that you don't need to change the domain every time. Just go to the table and create one more entry, right? If a new employee joined, what will you do? You open the table and you will create that employee, simply that create that employee ID. So this domain will accept that new employee ID also. So that's called a value table. So what is the need of value range? Fixed values, intervals, and value tables for possible values for this domain. So once you define those possible values, wherever you use this domain, for whatever the field you use this domain, that field will also acquire these properties. Okay, you are adding these domain properties to the field. Okay, clear? Now I am not selecting any value ranges or anything, right? Now my domain creation is completed. Click on save or Control S. You need to select the package for the domain also. For now I am selecting local object. What is the next step? Activate the domain. Is it active? No. Whenever you do the changes, you need to activate the domain. Domain is active. Now our domain is ready. What is the next object we need? We created the technical properties of the field. What is the other object we need? For semantic properties like field description, what do we
Data
need?
element.
Data element we need. Provide the name. For the data element, which option you need to select?
Data type.
Data type.
Option. Provide the name. I'll take the same name, or you can also create different name, but for now I'll use the same name as data element. Sorry, domain. For data element also I'm using same name. Create. Select data element. Continue. Employee ID. Now what is the domain you need to enter? Here it is asking for domain name. What is the domain name? Same, right? Enter the domain name in data element. You assigned domain for the data element. Now what is the other option? Important option. We need to maintain field labels. These are headers, heading data, report heading data. If you don't maintain the field label, you cannot see report headings, right? For example, let's assume you don't maintain the field label for the data element. What will happen? It will display the data like this in the report. No header. Without header, it will display the data. Okay. If you maintain the field label, it will display header. We have short, medium, long descriptions. You need to maintain according to short, medium, and long. For example, short description is employee ID, medium is employee, long is this. You can clearly observe this difference when you are working on reports. Okay, when you are working on the reports, you can clearly observe how short, medium, and long description will work. Okay. In further characteristics, we have other options in data element like change document, parameter ID. These are all not required now. Okay, don't worry about that. Just concentrate on providing the short description, field label, and domain. Domain. It is elementary type. Like you can use the domain. Is it mandatory to create a data element? Is the domain mandatory to create a data element? No, it is not mandatory. You can also use a built-in type. Select built-in type, provide the data type and length. Can we create like this also? Okay. Domain is not mandatory to
Okay.
create the data element, and domain is not mandatory to create the table field. Okay. But why we use
Yes.
domains? If without using domain, can you achieve case sensitive property? No.
No.
You cannot add case sensitive property to the table field if you don't use domain. Can you define possible values using value ranges without using
No, right.
domain? No.
No, sir.
You cannot define possible values without using the domain. For example, if you don't need those options, you don't need possible values for the field and you don't need case sensitive option for the field, then domain is optional, right? Then domain is
Yes, sir.
optional. We can go to built-in type,
Right.
provide the data element and length. Data type and length. And again, is the data element mandatory to create a table? Do we need data element to create a table field? Is it mandatory?
No, sir.
No. We created a table, right, without using data elements
We
and
created a
domains.
table. Yes, sir.
Data element is also not mandatory. But why we use this data elements and domains?
To
For
achieve
reusability
reusability,
and consistency. And
maintaining
the other advanced options like field labels, we cannot achieve. If you don't use data element, you cannot use field labels. Then all your reports will display the data like this without field labels,
header.
without header. You don't know, right? What is which value?
Obviously, sir.
If you don't use a domain, by default everything will be converted into uppercase, right? And it won't restrict any values by using value ranges. Yes. So for that
Yes,
reason,
sir.
to achieve those additional properties, additional advantages, we use domains and data elements. Okay. It's a very important interview question. They'll ask, is it mandatory to use data element and domain to create a table field? Your answer is no, it is not mandatory, but it is recommended to use, right? Because of
Sir.
reusability, consistency, and we cannot, if we don't use domains and data elements, we cannot use field labels, case sensitive options,
Possible.
and value
Possible
ranges. Value
values.
ranges. Nothing but value ranges, right? Now, I've entered the data element. Click on save the data element. We maintain the field label. If you don't maintain the field label, it will display the warning message. Now, what is the next step? Activate the data element. Data element is also active. Now, what is the next step? Select this data element. Go to the table, enter the data element name. Right? Data element contains domain. We assign domain inside the data element. Okay. Now, this field got assigned with properties of data element and domain. Right? This is which approach? Top down approach. First we create domain and then data element. Now let's see other approach. What is the next field? For example, emp name, emp underscore name I am taking. Now first check, is there any domain available for, data element available for employee name? There is one. So let's assume there is no suitable data element for your requirement. Then what you need to do? There is no data element available. Then you need to create a new data element, right? Now, earlier we first created the domain and then created the data element, right? Now we'll see Without going to SC11 again, we can create from here itself. Provide the data element name zdemo 10 underscore e name. I'm providing this name. Click enter, press enter. Is this data element available? What it is saying? Zdemo e name is not active. What does
Not
that mean?
active.
That means this data element is not available in the system, right? What is the next step you need to do? You need to create it, right? Double click on this. Double click on this. Yes, save the table first. Table saved. Now create the data element. Yes, create the data element. Provide the short description. Employee name. Field label, maintain the field label. What is the next step? Maintain the field label. Next, I need to enter the domain, right? I need to enter the domain, right? Then check, is there any existing domain available for employee name or not? Check for the existing domains. That might be standard or custom domains. Let's assume there are many domains available. Let's assume there is no existing domain available for employee name. Then create your own domain. I'll take the same name for domain also. Press enter. What it is saying? No active domain available. That means this domain is not available. Double click on the domain. Double click. Yes, create it. Create the domain. Provide the description. Employee name. What is the data type? For example, char 40.
Yeah.
So do you want to assign a case sensitive option for name? Okay, I'll assign case sensitive option. Okay. Now employee name is case sensitive. Now value ranges. Do you want to restrict employee names? Usually we can't, right? Employee name can be anything. We cannot restrict. So no possible values. Save the domain and activate the domain. Save and activate the domain. Your domain is active. Now click back. Click on back or F3. F3 or back. Now you will go back to data element. Right? You will go back to data element. Now save the data element. Check the data element and activate the data element. And click back. You will go back to the table. Your data element is ready. Right? Which approach is easy? Which approach is easy for you? Top down or bottom up?
Bottom, sir.
Bottom up approach is easy. You can just double click and create the data elements and domains, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
I think I have used incorrect field name. EMP name. Okay. Now city. Do I need to create data element for city? I'm not going to create because for city I have a, where is it? Standard data element available. I have a standard data element available. Just observe, we can also create, but I am just showing you like how can we use combination of custom and standard. So I'm not creating data element for city, right? Phone. Let's assume we don't have existing data element. Now I'll create one data element. Phone. So it is not active. Data element is not active. What is the next step? Double click on it. Create the data element. Phone number. And create the domain. Do we need any case sensitive option for phone number? Do we need any case sensitive option for phone number?
No required.
Not required, right? So in this case, I'm not using domain. I'm just directly using built-in type. See 10. Even I'm not using field value ranges because we cannot define the value range for phone number. Yeah, we can define. Actually, if you want, you can define. The number should be only within this range. If you want, you can define, right? But in this requirement, I don't need that. So I'm not creating a domain. I'm using built-in type in data element. What is the next step? Maintain the field labels.
Field label.
I'm just showing you different options, okay? Save the domain. Activate the domain. Sorry, it's not domain, data element. We're not creating domain in this step. Phone number. If you want to use, usually master data will not contain salary. Employee master data never contains salary, okay? It will be in a different table. Or we'll create, okay? For now, you can understand how to use different options. This is not available. Create the data element. Yes. Field description. Provide the domain. In this case, I am creating the domain, okay? Because I want to define input and output length, including decimal places. That input and output length I can define only in domain level, right? I cannot define input and output length in data element. Sorry, data type, right? It is decimal, right? Decimal 10. Sign. What is this sign? Positive or negative sign. Positive or negative sign. If you want to use, you need to select that. For now, I am not using it. Save. For example, if you want to define maximum salary allowed, how can you define minimum and maximum salary? For example, 10,000 is minimum salary and 1 lakh is maximum salary allowed. You can define it like this. So user can enter only values between 10,000 to
1 lakh.
1 lakh.
You can define like this. Okay. Usually we don't do that. I'm just showing you. Activate the domain. Go back. Activate the data element. Go back. That's it. Right? You can create more tables if you want. Is everyone able to understand how we create domains and data elements?
Yes, sir.
Save. What is the next step? We maintain delivery and maintenance. Delivery class. What is delivery class? The type of the table what we are creating. Is it application table or customizing table? Right? So for business data, we use application tables. For configurations, we use customizing tables. Right? So when we select this option in background, it will be defined specific property which is helpful in the time of system upgrades or system copy. But simply you can remember it is the type of the table. Is it application table or master table? What is the next step? Technical settings. Very important step. Technical settings. What do we define in technical settings? Data class and
Data class and
size category. What type of data? Is it a master data or transactional data? Master data. Size category. What is the size category you want to take? For example, 0 is enough for me. I'll take 0. You know, right? What will happen if the limit is exceeded? If this 3100 limit is exceeded, what will happen? It will automatically assign one more size category, 0. It won't stop you, right? It won't throw any error. But it is always recommended to use a proper size category. Okay. Now these two are the mandatory options. Data class defines, is it a master data or transactional data? We have other option in S4 HANA, that is database specific properties. Is it a column store table or row store table? In HANA, we have a concept of column store table. In any traditional databases, if you take any traditional databases, Oracle, MS SQL, whatever the database, what is the table type, table storage type they use? Row store. It will store like this. If it is a table, how it will save in the database? 100, name, Hyderabad, some 10,000. How it will store in the database? The records will be stored like this. 101, 102, 103, name 1, some. How the row store data will be saved? This is row store data. Row store data. Is there any duplicate values in the row store data? Hyderabad is repeating, right? Hyderabad is repeating, right, for different employees? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
It will occupy some memory, right, to save each value. To save some value, database will occupy some memory, right?
Yes, sir.
Hyderabad is repeating. For again, it is not a duplicate record. I am not saying it is a duplicate record because the primary key here is employee ID. City is same for all these employees. For that reason, this is repeating. To maintain each time, it should occupy some memory, right? For example, Hyderabad, to save this single word, it will take 1 KB, 1 kilobyte, right? Now, to save 4 values, how much KBs it will take? 4 KB, right? 4 times. 4 times it will take 4 KB, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Is it unnecessarily to maintain the same value? Is it taking additional memory or not?
Yes, sir.
It is occupying database memory. This is row store table. How the column store data will be maintained? In column store data, this is concept of HANA database, column store tables, right? It will save values like this. Again, I'll give detailed explanation about HANA in later sessions. I'm just giving you some introduction. How it will maintain the data? As each field as a separate table. Name 2. Each field as a separate table. Now city. This is EMP ID. This is name. Now how city will be maintained? City table. In column store, how many records will be having for city? Only one record. Only one record. It won't maintain for 4 times, right? In column store table, it will maintain only once, and it will connect to these employee IDs with some index number. With some index number. It won't repeatedly save the same value again and again in column store table, so that it will save a lot of database space.
Memory.
Database space will be saved. That is one advantage. We'll discuss. There are other options. We'll discuss later when we are working on ABAP on HANA. So here we have two options, column store or row store. By default, it is column store. Technical settings are completed. Click on save. Go back. Check the consistency. I think you need to maintain enhancement category. This is just a warning. You can ignore it even. Okay. Just activate it. Activate the table. This is a warning. Okay. Or you can maintain the enhancement category. Do you want to enhance this table in future or not? Go to extras, enhancement category. What is the enhancement category? Can be enhanced or cannot be enhanced. I'm selecting can be enhanced. Copy. Activate the table. Now your table is ready. Now you can create the entries. Go to table contents, create entries. Please observe, I'm using combination of uppercase and lowercase words in employee name. For city, I'm using lowercase. Some phone number, salary. Can you observe this? It is showing some magnifier symbol here. For remaining fields, this is not available. Can you guys tell me why?
We define the range.
We assigned the range in the domain level. Right?
Yes, sir.
Click on this or press F4. You can click on this or press F4 button. What is the range it is showing? Between 10,000 to 1 lakh. Let me try to enter 1,000. Click on save. It is still save. It is still allows, but it will show the possible range. It will show the possible range. Right? What is the possible value available for this field? We have other thing called check table. We have check table using foreign key relationship. By using that foreign key relationship, we can restrict invalid entries. We can restrict invalid entries. But in the value table, value ranges, it will show only possible values. But still it will allow to create the data. Okay. If you want to know, I don't know, like I have a field here. I don't know what to enter here. Click on here. You can see what is the value you can enter here. Right? Save. Sorry. Change the employee. Save. 102. Some 3,000 or 30,000. Save it. Zero 07, 106. Save. These records are enough. Check the data. Execute. Now observe how the data is created for employee name. How the data is created for employee name? Combination of uppercase and lowercase, because I've selected a case sensitive option for employee name. Correct? For city also, it is saved in lowercase because I have entered the data in lowercase. Why? Because I've used the standard data element, right? For city, we are using standard data element, right? For city, still it is using, it is using, it should be using case sensitive option. Go to the domain level. For city domain is this text 35. Double click on this. It is using case sensitive option. That's why city is also saved in lowercase, because I have entered in the lowercase. Right? Clear? Is everyone clear how
Yes,
to
sir.
use domains and data elements?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir.
So today we have seen how to create domains, data elements, and we have seen how to maintain value ranges, right? Single values, intervals, and
Yes.
we have to create value tables. We'll see that in the next session. Value tables and foreign key relationships. Tomorrow we'll see that. Okay. Then we'll continue with our programs. So that it will be easy for you to write select statements and defining the structures. Okay. So in this session, you will definitely get 2 or 3 questions in the interview about the data elements and domains. Okay. So please once again go through the session and understand each concept. Okay. Because in interviews, mostly interviewers will start the interview from data dictionary questions. Okay. If you can answer, if you can provide some good answers, they'll have some impression that will carry forward for the rest of the interview, right?
Yes, sir.
Definitions are not needed, right? Definitions are not needed, and no one will expect a definition. You need to explain how that is useful in the project or how it will be useful in the SAP, right? If they ask about what is domain, if you say that domain is technical attribute of the table field and stay calm, right? That is not a proper answer. Even though definition is correct, but that is not what they expect. You should be able to explain domain is technical property of the table field. By using domain, we can reuse the data type and length. We can also use case sensitive option and value ranges. This is the expected answer. Okay. And then they'll
Yes,
ask,
sir.
can we create a table without using domain? Yes, we can create. If you don't want to use case sensitive option and if you don't want to reuse data type and length, then you can create a data element without a domain, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like that you have to answer. For that you need to practice. If you practice and understand, and you need to explain like how you created it and how it is useful. Okay.